Hello, everyone, and welcome to a roofing contractor Q&A. I am RC Managing Editor Chris Gray, and I am happy to be joined today by roofing industry veteran and CEO of Mycocycle, Joanne Rodriguez. Hi, Joanne, and welcome.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And now I did mention you are obviously a veteran of the roofing industry, but I was just hoping you could tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. For 30 years, I was in the construction products and material manufacturing sector, and 16 of those I spent at Tremco Roofing and Building Maintenance. And towards the latter part of my career there, I was the director of sustainable and strategic initiatives, leading programs like roof recycling and zero waste and green chemistry. And so I left that role in 2017, but that's essentially my background. And I am a subject matter expert in sustainable buildings and energy efficient assemblies for walls and roofs. So.
All right, and so how did that lead into Mycocycle and its formation?
Sure. So when I left in 2017, I just kind of went on a vision quest, if you will, knowing that I had a strong desire to focus on sustainability efforts and looking at what the building space contribution and the industry at large meant to carbon and greenhouse gas releases. I took some time, having specialized in green infrastructure, so vegetative roofing and living walls. I wanted to learn more. I took a deeper dive and took a course in permaculture design. And it was there that I started to learn about mushrooms, fungi, what they could do in cleaning up the environment, cleaning up heavy petroleum based issues in soil and water. And a light bulb moment happened at that point in time. And I started to think about the issues we had as a manufacturer with our clients. We were B2B, and so we were working directly with the owners and hearing from them, the federal government, colleges and universities, that they could not get to zero waste as a result of the materials that we manufactured. And so I put two and two together and got with a mycologist. It started working on some collaborations and formulations. And in October 2018, Mycocycle was born with a patent pending around the technology and proof of concept established.
No, I mean, that's really interesting in general. Just, when I first heard of this, it's like mushrooms using for recycling, like how could you come up with that, put it together? But it's actually really fascinating stuff and really interesting. And I don't know if you could maybe explain sort of the basic premise behind it and sort of Mycocycle's process and how that works.
Sure. So, I mean, we're the beneficiary of having a lot of things happen in a short amount of time. One of the things I'd been tracking when I was in the roofing industry was the advent of mushroom-based materials. So mycelium, the root structure of a mushroom, is really what we're talking about. One of the companies that was leading the charge was probably established 12 or 13 years ago. They started working in building materials. And so I was already keen on that idea because there were high properties of insulation and structural fire resistance, water resistance, just naturally in the infrastructure of mycelium. So that piece was already there. When I started to learn about how mushrooms could actually clean up toxins, mitigate them, and take something heavy like a heavy petrochemical based derivative and bring it down to something more complex and less harmful to human and environmental health, applying that in process and seeing that it could work, I realized maybe we could start to drive greater circularity efforts in the built environment space related to waste streams, not just building tariffs, but even industrial manufacturing waste, where manufacturers with the materials that they make and are scraps from manufacturing, perhaps those could be treated and entered back into the production of new materials. And so our process really is lab born in our lab here outside of Chicago, where we work in formulations in a very controlled environment and create inoculum that gets applied to waste streams that are ground. In 4 weeks or less, under controlled conditions, we're able to process the toxins out and create what we call mycofiber, mycofill. A lot of times people are like, well, what does that material look like? at the end of the process, it's kind of white and off-white. It depends on the strain of fungi, but really that material could be harvested and it could be ground. It could be very similar to wood fiber. It could be continued to be processed and be something similar to an MDF or HDF board. It could be part of a drop-in to replace plastics, quite frankly, to become the insulation product of the future. And so that's really the premise of we're working across the waste management industry, the manufacturing sector. And it's been an exciting time for us as we are really starting to see a lot of cross-divisional collaboration. So maybe in the roofing industry where they're a little skittish about maybe putting a bio-based material into their roll goods, but they have a sister company that makes an insulation product. It makes real sense to try to create some independence, particularly in this environment of material supply side turbulence, that you could gain greater independence and create some great environmental impact along the way.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point there, just about the supply disruptions. That's been a really big issue in the industry lately. Do you feel that this process would help alleviate that if it were perhaps more widely implemented?
I think so, because I think there's a never-ending supply of waste. And what's been compelling, people were like, well, you know, if it's just asphalt shingles, you might run out. But I mean, we have to remember that the industry regularly measures 11 to 13 million tons of asphalt shingle tear-off waste. That figure never captures the industrial manufacturing waste, and it doesn't even begin to touch on the roll goods. And then if we start to get into the construction and demolition waste streams in total, so maybe a little outside of the roofing industry, it's a force multiplier. That's the fourth largest waste stream being landfilled or incinerated. And so there's tremendous opportunity. And what we see is now interest outside of even the roofing industry and the built environment space to start mitigating from rubber, um, uh, start to test on polymers and fibers. And so all of those are going to be great and reliable substitutes for some of the resources that manufacturers are pulling elsewhere that might be based in plastics and other petrochemical derivatives. They could start to replace those with our process.
All right, yeah, that's awesome. That's really interesting to hear, and that it's it's like you said, it's that sort of a circular economy where things can just keep coming back into it instead of just always ending up in a landfill.
Right.
And then you've been gaining some attention and some accolades for this project. I know Fast Company named you a world-changing idea finalist, and I believe you joined up the Startup Chicago as well. And then most recently, I believe you became a part of the Remade Institute. I don't know if you could just tell me a little bit about these different accolades and different ventures that you've joined up with.
Sure. I mean, second year in the row for us for Fast Company, which was great. I mean, we'll be 3 years in business come October, so I feel like we're heading in the right direction. And we've also gained support from National Renewable Energy Labs and the EPA, as well as being named in the Forbes Next 1000 in leadership. So that makes me feel really good after decades of being in an industry to start to gain some of it. But the reality is we could get there faster in collaboration, and the Remade Institute is a perfect place for us. They are a Department of Energy funded institute. They are working, their main goal is to transition to a circular economy and to support and grow US manufacturing as a result. And it made perfect sense for us to be in this space where we are right now, because we get greater exposure and opportunity to work with university collaborators, national labs, private and public industry, and NGOs. And we're actually part of a grant right now that we're pursuing through Remade as part of a larger team to work on some fiber and polymer technology in the medical waste side of things. And so for us, we're really appreciative of what Remade is doing, because we also have an entity in Europe with Mycocycle EU that just got formed in April, and we're working on mobilizing that as well. Some of these circular initiatives proceed much faster in the European markets. They really see it differently. I see the US catching up. But I think in the building industry space, we have some real opportunity with Remade driving this, and these federally funded projects and opportunities to really scale to proof out that this is not some wild hair idea, that this is happening around the world, and it's time for US manufacturing to catch up to that.
Excellent. And with all that being said, what are the next steps? What's next for Mycocycle, and how are you going to keep going?
Always, always the question du jour, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you
Yep.
wake up, you think you have it figured out. We felt that way in March of 2020, and then we know what happened. I think sometimes you just have to make some adjustments and pivots. In 2020, it was really a year for us to get our organizational house in order so we could um, accept some outside funding. We had a very successful um, equity crowd fundraise that ended at the end of April. So um, those investors allowed us to be able to get this office space and equip it and get some autonomy and testing so we can really just start to play and experiment with microremediation in ways that we haven't. But, bigger than that is the scale. We're going to be able to start scaling some um, larger trials here. We, again, are sourcing leadership and opportunities in the EU. I need somebody there. I can't be everywhere. Um, and we're looking for partnership and licensing opportunities and or mobilization partners here. I mean, I know that we'll get there faster with people who are already very knowledgeable in the industry. We've had great support in the roofing side of the world. We are under non-disclosures with multiple manufacturers in the space. And so it's just a matter of now showing that beyond the lab, we're able to facilitate this. And that's what we're focused on right now, just really getting this to scale and dispelling any doubts about it. It's just an engineering problem to solve, and it's an easy one to solve. And then we're expanding the materials that we're testing on, like mixed debris, construction and demolition waste, and easy button, right? I mean, if we can make it easier to treat the toxins out of waste streams, haven't we done a great thing? So we have some very distinct goals. We've expanded, brought on a lead lab tech June 1, brought on administrative assistant as well as a summer intern. That's lending some relief to me. But we're also starting to onboard more mycologists to expand our network. So we can do more, each of them having unique skill sets in different applied practices.
All right. Yeah, it certainly sounds like things are growing and going well for you. That's very, very great to hear. The one thing you mentioned was, having to scale up because it's right now it's a bit of like in a laboratory condition, something done in the lab, but you eventually want to have it expanded to be to the size of like a dumpster. So would that be like a just entire dumpster full of the mushroom roots? I don't know if you could maybe explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, we're really trying to adapt to what's already in the industry. It's so most commonly that's a dumpster, right? So, we're working here, we're playing with some different schematic designs and engineering to figure out, okay, what's the best way to, lend food, water, and air. That's basically what the root structures need to grow. And how do we even take it from a 4-week cycle down to a 2-week cycle, or even faster? And so those are all questions where we're being very deliberate and maybe not moving as fast as other people think we should, but we want to get this right because there's equipment out there already. So we're looking at different fermentation practices and ways to house this. So it's not a manufacturer's issue to worry about, right? It basically, they could set it and forget it. And so we're really in that process of setting up those licensing models to get this out there. And we've got a few landfill operators in the Southeast region that are ready to mobilize and scale with us. We've just got to outfit the equipment. And I call it the Franken dumpster. People laugh about that, right? So, but we're really, why reinvent the wheel if there's equipment out there that's going to help us support an aerobic process, because we're not really waste management and we're not really composting. We're somewhere in the middle, which can sometimes be a hard space to be in innovation, because they're like, well, where do you fit? We're a hybrid model. And so we're going to take the best of both of those technologies to scale it. And that's where we're headed. I would imagine within the next 3 months, we'll have some scale trials here, and be able to push out some of those photos and bring folks in and really get it engaged. And I think that that will be the major tipping point for us in this process.
All right, excellent. And now, say there's a roofing contractor or roofing company out there listening to this or watching this. They're really interested in what you're doing. How can they become involved?
Just reach out to me and let's see. I mean, maybe they're willing to host something on their yard, even. I think the foundation of our growth will ultimately come from roofing contractors and other contractors that are very environmentally conscious. In 2019, BASF released a study, in fact, around roofing contractors and designers and their need to see greener, cleaner shingle products, roll goods. They want formaldehyde free. They want to recycle these products or feel better about where they're sending it. Plus, they're the ones that are bearing the weight, the escalating costs to dispose of these materials into landfill. So, I mean, I just think that reach out to me. Let's talk about this and let's get some small scale betas set up. I'm willing to, put the time into doing this, because the more of us that are talking about it, more of us that are doing it, the quicker this is going to happen for us as an industry. We're very much looking at an end-to-end solution set, but either side of it is still a very phenomenal thing. You don't have to take on the whole thing. And what's really cool is the post-market value of the remediated materials help to offset the cost of the treatment on the front end. It actually could be a revenue stream if you're in the right market.
Oh, that's really cool. Definitely a good selling point there.
Yeah.
And so if someone does want to reach out to you or find out more information, where can they go?
Just email me at Joanne, Joanne, at mycocycle.com, MYCY, MYCOCYCLE.com. It's my own company and I misspell it. So MYCOCYCLE.com, Joanne at mycocycle.com, or go to mycocycle.com, our website, and send an inquiry through there. I try to be accessible because, I think it's important to have these conversations. We're doing something very unique and different. I want to be able to talk through it and have people understand it. And not understand it from my perspective, but to put resources in the hand of those that are interested so they can even do their own due diligence. So I'm happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk about how we mitigate these huge waste issues and create a more renewable future in building products. It's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, all right. Sounds great. And yeah, hopefully some people will reach out. And just want to thank you again for taking the time to talk with us about this and joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Chris. And I will say I will be at IRE. So if this is going out prior to that, anybody that wants to meet, to send me an email and we could try to meet up out at IRE as well.
All right, excellent. Yep, we will certainly be there. And yeah, if anyone else wants to see us or see Joanne, we hope to see you down there as well. And yeah, thank you again for joining me today. And thank you all for listening or viewing, whichever you may be doing, and spending some time with us today. For more content like this, be sure to sign up for our free newsletters and our new and improved e-magazine at roofingcontractor.com. Stay safe, everyone.